That fresh produce stand there, that's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
It's Thirsty Thursday, and that means we are once again hanging out at the Produce Stand, podcast paying tribute to everything in the universe. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are many other Letterkenny podcasts out there, but this one is not dying. I'm Al, your host, and joining me in the room as always is lovely Tanya. And online, we don't have Matt, unfortunately. He's, I think he's at his kid's soccer game, but we do have the vivacious Victor. And joining us this week, he is a Canadian actor known for roles in films like Dark Harvest, All Fun and Games, The Return, and the CTV series Acting Good. But we all know and love him as Jory Jordan, the young, intrepid host of the Sudbury Kids Sports Report, who's not dying on Shoresy. Please join me in making some noise for Maclean Fish.
Wondrous! Oh my gourd!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Wait!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I regret nothing.
Welcome to the Produce Stand, Maclean.
It's a pleasure to be here.
This is amazing, and I'm a little nervous because we know how sharp-tongued you can be. Well, at least your character Jory. So we're on the other side of this now.
Be kind. Be kind.
Yeah. Well, yes. Be kind. Where in the world are you speaking to us from?
I am currently in the flat Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Winnipeg, Manitoba. Amazing. I actually in the pre-show we were talking. I'm headed out your way in September. Looking forward to recording some stories for Yes We Are Open, but never been to Manitoba, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
is that
great?
Yeah, is that where you are from originally?
No, I was originally born in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. My parents lived their whole lives there. Most of my family's still out there. And then when I was 7, I moved from my dad's job to Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. And then for the last 2 years, I've been mainly living in Toronto.
So you're in Toronto. You're going to school in Toronto, right?
Yes, at U of T.
U of T. Very good. Do you go to school with Keegan Long then? Or is that where did you meet him there?
No, he goes to York.
Oh, York. So that's right. Sorry. I got my Toronto universities mixed up. Yeah. Yeah, sorry there, Victor. He's already shaking his head. That's cool. So 7. So I mean, you were pretty young when you moved to Winnipeg. Do you remember anything about Vancouver? I
mean, yeah, bits and pieces. I up until COVID, I was back there kind of every summer for a little bit. So I have more memories probably from those times. But yeah, I mean, I remember the house I lived in and,
sure.
and the big things. But yeah, I remember it being great. I mean, I never was a big skier or anything, so the mountains didn't really play a role in my life. But yeah, it was great.
Cool. What was it like growing up in Winnipeg then?
Very different from like what I've been told, I guess, since I don't remember a ton of it. But it's good. I like how small it is. I mean, after living in Toronto for a little bit, I've definitely learned to appreciate it a little bit more for what it is, and being able to be back here in the summers and yeah, it's more relaxing, I feel, than some of the bigger cities. But it's great. I played sports. I did the arts. I did some well-rounded things growing up and had a good time doing them, and it was
All right, cool. So growing up in Winnipeg, obviously you got into the arts, but you mentioned sports. Did you play hockey?
I did. Yeah, I played hockey my whole life.
Oh, yeah?
I played 1 year while I was in BC before I moved, or maybe. Yeah, like 2 years. I think I started skating when I was 2 or 3, and then I started playing hockey when I was like 6 or 7.
Oh.
And then, I played high school hockey, AA, AAA, everything up until I was, grade 12, 18.
Okay, so when I looked up your name and there was like a hockey, I forget what the hockey site is that's got all the
elite prospects.
Elite prospects. Is that you? Even though,
yeah. Okay,
because I wasn't sure because there's no picture.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
you were elite enough to play to be listed in the elite prospects. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Amazing. So when did you get into acting?
Oh, I want to say 12. I think it was the summer going into grade 7. I want to say. it was kind of weird. I did a school musical when I was in the 6th grade. That was the final year of my elementary school.
Okay.
And it was it was an interesting thing because I had an amazing music teacher at my school who always tried to go above and beyond. And they did this musical we have this place called the Centennial Concert Hall, which is kind of like the biggest venue in the city. And they put it on at this venue, and there was 1,000 people or whatever watching it, and we were like 12, and I played Simba in The Lion King.
Really?
And that was kind of the beginning of it, I guess. And then from there, I kind of, since that was only offered once a year in school most of the time, I ventured out into the extracurricular world, I guess, to pursue things.
So you've got a lot in common then with Jared Kiesel, for example, because you're music, like you're into music. I'm gathering hockey and theater. So seems like you were like a solid choice then to join the Shoresy cast.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, he's amazing.
So we'll get through your filmography real quick here, because there's some interesting things that I do want to touch on. But first, we'll start with your very first role. 2017, something called Split, which is a film anthology. What is that?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that like a school project or something? Or
no, that was geez, I haven't heard of that in a long. That was
it's in like your IMDb. Yeah.
It was a student film.
Mm-hmm.
That actually wasn't my first time on a film set.
Oh, okay.
But that was my first time like speaking lines, I guess you'd call it.
Right.
So I guess that's why it'd be the first thing on IMDb. So it was a student film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a web series actually, but like made by students.
Okay.
And I don't think I watched it even.
No,
maybe that's bad to say, but I honestly don't. I don't remember much about it other than it was like one of those where you show up for one day and they give you Subway and they call it a day and there's no pay or anything like that. It was one of those type of things. Sure. So yeah, I guess that would be the first on IMDb. Yeah.
Well, how long? I mean, that was 7 or 8 years ago, right? So you would have been pretty young.
Yeah, that would have probably been right. Like the first time I ever was on a film set I was a photo double for like the lead child in the show called Channel Zero.
Okay.
It's like an anthology series that was on Sci-Fi Network. And I actually had like 35 days on set. Just, I wasn't like an actor. I was just like I was crew essentially.
Okay.
And so that was my first ever experience on a set, shortly after I did the school musical. And then, that would have been probably around that time too.
Were you doing like commercial work too then and stuff like that, or no?
No, I never did any commercial. My brother, younger brother, did a couple commercials when we were younger, but that was kind of just because I think one of them he actually got because he came along with me to one of them.
Would your younger brother's name be Keaton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he on IMDb? Maybe.
We're going to get to that then in a second, but that's interesting because I feel like your whole family, do you have a sister named Zoe?
Yes. Well, she's probably more successful than I.
Yeah. No, but you'll see why in a second why I'm asking, because she's actually creepier than I am.
Yeah. Well, wait a second. Do you have a restaurant named Maclean's Fish?
No, but that's so funny you bring that up because anytime anyone has ever searched for my name, that either comes first or like right below it. There's this running joke that it's like we're in a battle for like who.
It ranks very high in search. You're right, but I feel like Shoresy's pushed you now past them. I
Maybe,
can't.
I can't. It must be a good restaurant. Yeah, I don't know.
Amazing. We'll get to why I know about Keaton and Zoe in a second. But first, 2019, you're in a film called Breakthrough, and there's a really impressive cast here because you have Topher Grace and Chrissy Metz, who from The Last of Us. Is it The Last of Us? What's
This Is Us.
This is us. Not The Last of Us. Anyway, and shot in Winnipeg. So, so that must have been fun. Your role seemed to be kind of, not big, but were you able to meet any of these great actors and being, shot at home too?
Yeah, I didn't meet Topher Grace or Chrissy Metz. I was just in one scene, I believe. One scene that made the final edit. I think I had two originally.
Right.
There was a couple lines.
Yeah.
I would play bully.
Right.
but yeah, I met I worked with the lead actor, the boy. I
Yeah, I don't
think
have his name written down, but yeah.
he's not working, I think, anymore. But he was doing well at the time, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I think was kind of the first set that I'd been on that had a large budget, and I actually spoke lines, and that was kind of that first experience for sure.
Now I saw that it was shot in Winnipeg. What's the movie and or television kind of scene like in Winnipeg?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it
busy?
For the size of the place? Yes, very, very busy. I'd say from the months of April to November, there are 6 or 7 projects shooting at once.
Right.
And for a place like this, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's the perfect size to start out. I think it's got enough that you're not having to send in self tapes 24/7, but I think it also is small enough that you can get opportunities that you just wouldn't get starting out in a place like Toronto or Vancouver or anywhere in the US.
Kind of I bet you imagine it has like some Sudbury vibes to it, right? Because it's a medium-sized city.
Yes.
And there's a lot of filming going on around there.
100%. I mean, I've spent very limited time in Sudbury, but from what I've experienced there, it reminds me a lot of Winnipeg for sure.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to this movie called The Return. And the reason I this was notable is because you were in it, obviously, but also someone named Zoe Fish, who I was wondering whether she was related to you because of the last name. And then I looked her up and noticed that she's the creepy girl in The Grudge.
Yeah.
So your sister. So who came first? Like, was your sister like first kind of in acting and then you and your brother, or like, how did that work? That must be like really competitive family you have there when it comes to this kind of work.
Well, we're competitive, but not in terms of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it's so weird how it happened. She was absurdly young.
Yeah.
When it kind of all happened, I had gone for a meeting with like a manager at a place called Panache here in Winnipeg. It's kind of the only management agency place here for you to be with. So I went there and I had a meeting. This was shortly after I had kind of been on set with that Channel Zero show and I had done some things, and I was just interested in getting aboard.
Yeah.
And she came to the meeting with my mom and I just because she was 4 or 5, like really young, right? And the agent manager asked, does she want to try? And my mom went, no, she's 5 years old. Obviously, like we're not going to do that based on, stories of very young children entering the industry, stuff like that. She's like, no. But Zoe was really adamant about doing it and like by herself, like was like, I want to try this. Like, I really want to. And so my mom, my parents never would say no to something like that. And if they really wanted to do it. And so, yeah, she started going to auditions and just booking everything. Like it was ridiculous. She would kind of book everything she went out for that was local.
Yeah.
And then, when I think she was 6 when she did The Grudge.
Right.
And then she did many other things after that. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big horror movie buff, but that one there stood out because if I know the name The Grudge, I figure like it must be a big deal. So does she like lord that over you guys? Like I was on The Grudge.
No, she's really I mean, I think part of it is starting from such a young age.
Yeah.
She never really grasped like how cool that is. You know what I mean? She was kind of in that since she was 5, doing, meeting really cool people and stuff like that. And so I don't think she really thinks about it like that. But she's great. Very talented.
Sorry, we won't talk about her anymore.
No, it's cool. She's cooler than me, so it's okay.
Yeah. 2023, all fun and games. Again with Zoe, but also your brother had a part in this as well. Like again, I guess because it's such a small community in Winnipeg, you guys were up for a lot of like similar roles, I guess, or
you mean The Return or All Fun and Games?
All fun and games. Or was that not in Winnipeg?
Zoe was in that. Yeah. That it's small, yes, but I think. I mean, we played siblings in that movie, and we played siblings in another movie, so that's kind of why we're both in that. But it is small. Like there'll be a role that is needs to be cast as a local, and it'll be the same 10 boys that will have brown hair, and you know what I mean. It is quite small, but there's a good talent pool here, and productions like to come here. They have a great tax credit, so it's there's definitely advantages for sure, and I think it's a good community.
Yeah. So what's the birth order there? Your sister's the youngest and you're the oldest, or how does? Yeah,
correct.
Okay, and then your Keaton's in the middle.
Sure.
So you mentioned you kind of joked that you guys are competitive. If you're not competitive with your careers, what are you competitive with? Just
everyday life.
Yeah.
Just in general, with every little possible thing that happens around the house. I mean, I grew up with a very close family. We are very close, I think, compared to most. So we're very supportive of each other, but because we're so close, it definitely there are some rivalries and a lot of competitiveness that goes along with that.
Sure.
But
do you guys root for the same sports teams?
Yeah, Oh, I could go on about this forever.
Victor hopes you do.
We have a rule in our house that you can't cheer for any team outside of Winnipeg, unless it's like an NFL team or an NBA team where there's no equivalent.
So you're rooting for the Panthers right now?
Well, I got to be careful because I got to be really careful with what I say, but maybe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I was cheering for the Oilers over the Canucks.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Oh,
but
wow. All right.
I don't know. I'll keep my answer about now.
Yeah, that's fair. My son, who's a big Canucks fan, is not rooting for the Oilers right now.
Yeah.
So that's just the way that it goes.
It
and you're not a Leafs fan, even though you lived in Toronto.
Oh, I am very far from a Leafs fan, and I know that's going to annoy a lot of people, but being from Winnipeg
makes your life a lot easier.
100%. Well, I don't know. The last couple of years, the Jets have kind of been the Leafs a little bit, but it's you have to be a Winnipeg fan. My brother, he's going to play tennis in Wisconsin for university.
Oh wow!
And he was really mad about the Jets losing in the first round and kind of this trend about winning the first game and then losing 4 straight.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm giving up. I'm going to become a Wild fan because that's like kind of the closest team, I guess, to where he's going to be living. And yeah, there was a big fight about that for sure. There was a real life argument where people were being serious. Then you cannot. That's not allowed.
They've got nice jerseys. That's about it.
Yeah, they do. I'll give them that. I'll give them that. Yeah.
Only other note about this All Fun and Games movie is that Asa Butterfield is in it, and he's a big fan of his work, like Hugo, Sex Education. I mean, did you get a chance to work with him at all?
Yeah, that was really cool. We did work quite a few days together. And one-on-one too, which was kind of crazy and a really, really important and cool experience, I think. But yeah, and Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things, she was in as well, and we also worked together, which was cool. So yeah, that was a really fun movie. It was I got to play a pretty cool character, and I had a lot of fun with that.
All right, cool. We'll get you to Shoresy in 1 second, I promise. But what I see a lot here in these credits is horror movies and kind of dramatic roles. But you are in a CTV series called Acting Good, which is a comedy. Is this kind of your first foray into the comedy?
I got something funny to tell you about that.
Yes.
So people wouldn't know that I'm in that show.
Oh, okay.
Because I play a bear.
I saw your credit as the bear, but I wasn't sure what that meant. Like, what does that mean?
So, yeah.
Are you in a bear costume?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So last summer,
Uh-huh.
this show has been shooting in Winnipeg for, I guess season 3 is coming out.
Right.
So, and I'm in that one as well. But it's been shooting here for the past 3 years. And so last summer when I was coming back from Toronto for my first summer back home, my mom's friend who works in the industry here as an AD, she knows our family very well. She's very close to us. She said, "Hey, there's this role in this show. They need someone that fits these dimensions, and has a little bit of comedy experience." And this was coming right off of shooting season 2 of Shoresy.
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, well, of course, like, that'll be awesome."
Right.
So I show up and I didn't know what to expect because it was such a small thing that it was like they didn't tell me anything. Like I don't even think I might not even. Oh no, I definitely got a call sheet. But I show up and there's a real bear. Like it's a real bear that like skin that's been like turned into a suit. It was actually in a Keanu Reeves movie called Serbia. I think it's called Siberia.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know,
Oh, yeah.
but it's a bear, like a real bear, and I'm inside of it, and I do a whole bunch of whack. I fight a guy. I ride a tricycle. I ride a little Tykes car. It's a whole bunch. It's
Right.
awesome. So
Do you have
if
any
wanna-
lines? No.
Nope.
Okay, because
Nope.
you're just a bear.
Just a bear. Yeah.
So-
It's yeah. It's like
So somebody's like, we need somebody to fit into the bear costume. What? Oh, okay. Yeah.
that's literally what happened, like word for word.
So are you on all fours in that thing, or?
Sometimes I'm acting like like I'm sitting at a wedding in one
Right.
of the scenes, just in one of the chairs. Like it's just this kind of like gag
So you got it.
Hey,
part of the show. And,
Are you
and
a hallucinant of somebody is seeing like that you're a bear just sitting there?
no.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
I've seen it before, like I
I'm-
watched it. Like it's just there. Like it's one of those comedic moments where it's like it's absurdism. Like you know
Okay.
it makes no sense,
Right.
but it's like in Shoresy almost when I pulled out the banana,
Right.
like a little kind of like that, where it's just like what, but it works, I guess. So
Oh man.
yeah. So that's what I do in that show. And
Okay.
season 3, I'm actually shooting it kind of right now.
Oh, yeah?
I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Well,
I
and
have a date,
it's the creation of Paul Rablowskis, who's an Anishinaabe comedian, funny guy. Like unfortunately,
Very funny.
admittedly, I don't know much about this show because we don't watch regular cable anymore. But now I'm gonna have to hunt it down and check it out because
I it's just a few episodes
Mhm.
in that season, but there's a season in the works, but check it out.
so now you get a call and say, McLean, the Bears in this season. We need you again. Like,
Again, it was like, well, I think they tried because there was I don't know, there was something weird that I wasn't gonna do it again,
Mhm.
and then I was pretty adamant. I was like, no, I'll do it. Like I want to do it, and
Amazing.
so we're doing it again.
So, I mean, before we move on to Shoresy, I mean, there are some really great productions that have come out of and associated with Winnipeg and come out of Winnipeg, like Less Than Kind, and more recently, my friend Stu Stone shot Bandits there, which is a movie by 5-7 Productions. So, I mean, when you say that it's a busy town for film, I secondhand, I can attest to that for sure. Let's move on then to Shoresy. How does Jared Kiesel find you?
I hope good.
No, I'm just like, how did you get involved with Shoresy?
It was kind of just a normal audition experience.
Mhm.
I got a breakdown, and it was for the second season of Shoresy, and I was obviously familiar with Letterkenny, and I had watched Letterkenny for quite a while. And then I hadn't seen the first season of Shoresy though when I got the audition for the second. And I kind of made a point of not watching it for that audition, and just kind of because I think I remember it saying in the audition don't like in very specifically don't use the Letterkenny accent, like a very Canadian rural accent, like speak how you speak. And so because when I got it originally, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it because I've watched it, I know how they talk, I kind of sometimes talk like that. But so I didn't watch it and sent in the tape, and without a callback or anything, I got a call from Jacob Tierney. I didn't get a call from Jared. Jacob called me.
Okay.
And told me that they loved it and they wanted to have me on the show, and I was pretty excited. It was pretty awesome. And then I went up to Sudbury to start shooting season 2, and here we are.
Did your background in hockey have anything to do with it? Like you said, you made it up to AAA. Like, is that on your resume somewhere? Like, did they know about that?
That's a good question. I actually sometimes think about that. I've never talked about it with Jared. I don't know. I think I remember Burke made a joke one time saying that he thought that Jared looked at his elite prospects because of all the jokes that he was writing were very like kind of in that tone. But I don't know if he would have. Maybe. I think my resume has like all the sports that I can play.
Right.
I don't know if they'd look at that or not. I don't know. That's a great question, and I wish I had an answer for it. But
we'll have to ask
maybe.
Jared next time we have him on.
Yeah, maybe it did. Yeah.
Now we've had you've mentioned Burke, but we've had Burke and Keegan on, for their interviews and stuff, and they tell us the hilarious stories of how they run lines with their moms because that's who they run lines with. And it's just funny because of the kinds of lines they have with Shoresy on the show, just imagining their mom saying these things. Right. I mean, the stuff you say on the show isn't as salacious as Shoresy and the high school guys, but who do you run your lines with?
Well, if I'm in Toronto, I run them with my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Most part, and she's good.
Okay.
She's
what else could you say?
she's originally from Brazil.
All right, yeah.
And immigrated here about 6 years ago. So English is her second language,
right.
But it's
so what's Shoresy like with a thick Brazilian accent? That
would make it sound awesome.
Well, yeah, her accent isn't super thick, but it's funny to hear her say the very Canadian humor and the chirps and stuff. It's a good time. But most of my self tapes and stuff are done with my mom. Well, it's by, believe it or not, it's by choice.
Sure.
I have many friends in Toronto that are actors and live very close to me, and we could do them, and occasionally I do.
Yeah.
But I think just because my mom has been doing it with us for so long, it works, and I think I'm used to it, and it's comfortable, and it's So even as crazy as the Shoresy dialogue is, I don't think it'd be that weird with my mom. No. Like we've just read that many, like some of the auditions are always really crazy, and some stuff in there that you wouldn't normally want to say with your mom.
No, especially Keegan and Bork's lines, like those lines.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. So what does your mom think of the show? Like,
they love it. My whole family loves it. My dad watched it before I was in it, which is really special. It's very cool. I think like starting out as an actor and most of the stuff you do, nobody watches or aren't big things. And so to get to be in something that like people in my family were already fans of,
right,
it's pretty cool. My brother loves it. He's also a hockey player.
Yeah.
The only person that doesn't watch it is my little sister, but other than that,
she's a little young for it still.
little young. But everyone else loves it. Family back home in BC loves it. It's pretty cool.
So you mentioned you were already a Letterkenny fan before Shoresy. Yeah. When you heard there was going to be this spinoff with the main character being Shoresy, what were you thinking? Like, how are they going to do this? Like, they're not going to show his face, or like what?
Well, yeah. I think that's kind of what everyone was thinking.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I think being a hockey player, the hockey parts of Letterkenny were always my favorite.
Mhm.
Riley and Jonesy and of course Shoresy. And so yeah, I think I was definitely curious of what it was going to be, but at the same time, I wasn't 100% aware that it was for sure happening, because I'd seen stuff on social media and stuff like that, and it came at a time where I think I was maybe a season or two behind on Letterkenny,
Right.
And so I had to kind of remind myself when I got that audition, like, oh yeah, this did come out and I still haven't watched it, but now I'm definitely not going to watch it.
Mhm.
But yeah, since then I've obviously seen it, but yeah, I think it was definitely questionable about what it was going to be like, but I think it turned out pretty good.
Yes, we agree. When we told our listeners that you were going to come on, there was a lot of excitement because, you're in a few scenes a season, but you're already like one of the favorite characters. So how does that feel, first of all?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It feels great because it's a pretty special role to play, because it's very unique and kind of outside of everything. It's very like not individual, but like it's kind of on its own in these little segments. And so I kind of get to isolate it almost, like even when I'm preparing to do it, I often isolate it from the rest of the show and try to just do it what it is.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty awesome experience. The way it's been received. I mean, I tend to try to not read like comments and stuff on it on social media, just because I've kind of been taught not to, and just kind of, it just keeps it nice and positive. But from what I've been told and things that family has shown me, it's very well received, which is amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, our listeners are really excited, and we asked them for questions. So we have a bunch here. If you don't mind, I'll ask you some questions. So, Dennis, our friend Dennis from the UK, his standard question is, who's the best slut on the ice? Now, because you played before, were you ever allowed to be like, I know that sometimes in preparation for a season, they'll get together and they'll play some shinny together and stuff. But are you ever on the ice with them at all, just for fun? No.
I mean, I spend you'd be surprised how little I spend on set. Sure. I think season 2, I was there for 2 days.
Yeah.
We shot everything in 2 days. Season 3, I was there for a while. Season 3, I was there for a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But very split up.
Sure.
I think I had like the most time I ever spent there together was a week. And I'm also I was very separate from everyone else.
Sure.
I was, even for some, I still don't know the answer to this, but I was kept at a separate hotel than everyone else.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't like ask for that. I actually kind of asked for the opposite of that for season 3, and was still put there. But so I don't have a super close relationship with a lot of the cast.
Yeah.
Which kind of fits. It's interesting. It fits the character,
right? Because you're kind of the reporter, on the outside,
kind of just separate from everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
so you have no sense then of who the better hockey player is among Jared and Dolo and Hitch.
Well, based on, I have seen bits and pieces. Yeah. Well,
Jared's the boss. Yeah.
Jared, yeah. I wouldn't put Jared 1, probably.
Okay.
Maybe I would. I don't know. I haven't seen enough.
Okay.
To make a fair and honest ranking.
All right.
So
Dennis will just have to be good with that answer. It's just a standard question. Our friend Kate,
we could call them all sluts too. That would work as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Casey from North Carolina asked how you got into acting, which you already answered. But Tobias from Missouri, he wonders, do you have a dream role? What would it be?
Great question. Dream role.
Like, do you enjoy comedy over horror, over drama? Like,
I think
Or
I
playing
think
animals.
or playing animals? Like, do you know all the words to Hakuna Matata?
maybe, yeah, animals might be up there now for sure. I think I've grown a love for comedy for sure. I've gotten. I mean, Shoresy was kind of my first taste of comedy, and obviously it's a lot of fun. So comedy is growing on me, and I definitely am thinking about comedy. I also write on the side, and so I'm thinking about comedy more in my writing as opposed to acting. But dream role, I don't know. I mean, it probably hasn't been written yet, but I really like drama.
Yeah.
I do love comedy, but I think in terms of dream role, it would probably be something in drama more so than comedy. But
And it's interesting because one way that your character is different from literally everybody else, Letterkenny has always been a very fast talking show, and Shoresy's kind of more neutral. But your character, I think, delivers lines quicker than anybody else. And
Yeah.
so there's two parts of this. One is, I think all actors have to be really good at memorizing lines, but then you also have to deliver it at that speed. Is that hard? Does that come easy to you? Do you have to practice a lot? And do other people are they jealous of you? Like, you're really good at it.
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much. It is hard. There's a lot of ADR recording. There's a little secret. Not all of it is perfect on camera the first time. But yeah, I mean, I'm even trying to slow down my speech right now. I tend to talk fast in general in my everyday life. But yeah, I definitely I work on enunciation a lot because the more I can hammer down the syllables and the accents, I can go faster. But yeah, Jory speaks extremely fast. That was what in the breakdown on the original cast or the character breakdown. When I got it, like one of the first things was he talks insanely quick. Like that was what it was. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just go full speed.
And the reason I asked you that is because, if you can go fast, you can go slow. And drama, you got to slow things down. You got to show the emotions. So it's you get that range. And I think that this show is really letting you practice a range that you don't typically get a chance to do. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yes, I'm very, yes. It's one of those things where I think Jory, the character, comes kind of naturally to me. Which makes it easier. I definitely spend more time on the enunciation of the lines than I would on the character, because I think once I can enunciate and get the lines to a speed that works, the character kind of just comes with it. Which is a lot of fun to do, for sure.
I got to say, I mean, for somebody who's new to comedy, your comedic timing's great. So it's natural. You're a natural at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think I attribute most of that to just having fun with it. It's like Jared and everybody involved makes the set so enjoyable to work on. And I mean, I've worked on projects with tiny budgets and big budgets and everything in between, and there's nothing like the set of Shoresy in terms of like how much you can enjoy it and let loose, I guess, while still everyone is so dedicated and focused to working and creating something fun and awesome. It's also so laid back, and so yeah, it's a great environment to be in, for sure.
Did you bring anything extra to the character? Like, was it all scripted, or did you add something to his personality?
Well, there's some things in season 3 that I did. I mean, I can't say that because it doesn't happen. But yeah, there's some little quirks. I mean, the banana phone was not me. I have to give Jacob or Jared credit for that. They told me to do that last minute. That wasn't in the script. But there's I think just his seriousness and his bluntness, I definitely emphasized. It wasn't as, I think the character breakdown originally was just like he's serious about his work or something like that. Very broad. I think I took it to a new level with how serious he takes his work.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, season 2 didn't have, I think, enough to work with. It was short and sweet.
A lot of people agree. They want
Yeah.
more Jory. So
Yeah, season 3, there's a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
especially in episode 5 and 6.
Mhm.
There's a little more going on. There's a little more, maybe some, well, I guess, yeah, you already saw a little conversation off camera with Shoresy, and
Mhm.
there's a little more of that kind of when the cameras aren't rolling type stuff, which definitely broadens it up. You get to see Jory when he's not reporting a little
Right.
bit, which was a lot of fun to kind of experiment with. I had some conversations with Jared kind of before shooting it about like what, like, is he this serious when the cameras aren't rolling? Does
Mhm.
he have like a little, like, a more relaxed side, a friendlier side, maybe?
Right.
So there's there's just more in this season
Yeah.
to work with. So that
Really.
you'll notice some more little things and stuff like that.
We're looking
Nice.
forward to it. Casey from North Carolina asks, how do you keep a straight face through your dialogue, especially across from Jared?
It's hard. It surprisingly doesn't take as long. We've gotten better at it.
Mhm.
It surprisingly doesn't take as long as you'd think it would, maybe. But those first couple takes are really, you never get through it most of the time. I mean, we always run our lines and run the scenes prior to shooting them.
Mhm.
In the dressing rooms and waiting rooms and stuff like that. So we kind of get most of the giggles out in there, and then it makes it a little easier to work when the cameras are rolling. But yeah, there's a lot of breaking and a lot of laughs for sure. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of it's not scripted too. Kind of just working with Jared to find different beats and find things that work and things that don't work. More so outside of dialogue than with dialogue, but yeah.
Casey from Virginia says, I mean this in the most respectful way. I love you, dude. Great freaking work. And she's wondering if you have any like favorite stories of like on set shenanigans that you can share.
Shenanigans. I think one of my favorite stories / like moments was kind of a blooper. It was while we were shooting this season, and I can say it because the episode's out.
Mhm.
Where
Out in Canada.
Pardon?
It's out in Canada, but not in the US.
You're right.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, yeah, you're right. I can't say that story. How can I say?
Censor.
Well, we could release this episode when that episode gets released.
I guess I could sit on this until, you know how much I love doing that. But yeah, we could sit on this until
sit on it.
June 21st. So
We know it.
yeah, because this, you know what? It's up to you. You tell us.
Hey, it's your podcast.
Yeah.
I can talk about it. It's nothing crazy. I like I said, I don't spend a ton of time there, so I'm lacking on the stories department as
Right.
other people might be.
Yeah.
Carrying a lot more. But I think from season 2, my favorite moment shooting was probably that moment where we introduced the banana phone. There was something about it. It was like, I think it's the same reaction we all had on set as the audience does, where it's
Right.
like, why? Like,
Yeah.
where did that come from, and why is it there?
Yeah.
It's funny though, but
Mhm.
nobody understands it. I think we had shot the scene maybe once or twice, done a couple takes without it, and I don't remember how that scene ended without the banana.
Mhm.
But we had done it a couple times, and then Jacob comes over and he just hands banana to me and goes, "Answered at the end." Or something like that, and but like really answer it.
Yeah.
Like there's somebody on the other line. Like
Yeah.
answer it. Don't like try to make it a joke or anything.
Mhm.
Like seriously answer that phone.
Mhm.
And it was just, we took a while to shoot that because people were laughing, and it took a little bit of time, but that was a lot of fun. So that's a good story.
There you
There
go.
you go.
So we don't get you in trouble. I know that sounds like we have a
Yeah.
lot of Caseys and Cassies, and we do. This one here is Cassie from Simcoe. She wants to know what's your favorite chirp that you've used on the kids' sports report.
Ooh, favorite chirp. what was it like seeing all your friends move up a grade without you? And do you use that as motivation today?
Perfect. I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. Yeah.
That's a
Verbatim.
good one.
Yeah. Our buddy Gord from Toronto, I really love the Jory Jordan character, and I'm curious on what it was like for him to become a recurring cast member after the first season. Actually, after the second season, I guess. Was he already aware and a fan of short? So you've already answered that. But yeah, so when you were first cast, did you know it was going to be a recurring role? And okay, you didn't. No.
It was it just was I think it was originally a guest star role. I don't remember how many. I don't know if it was originally just supposed to be one episode or if it was always 3. I just think I remember it being a guest star.
Yeah.
And then we ended up doing the 3 episodes in the second season, and then I didn't really hear anything. And then Jared, he sent me a text one day with an image of a new scene from season 3 between me and him. And I got to read it, and it was I think I remember it. It was the scene. It was the I can't talk about that. But it was I caught myself that time.
Yeah, there you go. You're getting better at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I'll eventually just not say anything.
Yeah.
But I think so he sent me that text with that, and then shortly after that I was contacted by my agents and stuff, and then I was told that I'd be in, I think, I don't remember how many episodes they told me, but they had told me an original number, and then
it's amazing.
It was exciting.
Yeah. Paddle from Rhode Island. No real question for Maclean, just a thank you for delivering a line that vapor locked me for 10 solid minutes. That's right, kids. I'm talking about fetal alcohol syndrome. Seriously, so well delivered, as was the whole segment. So that's high praise from Paddle from Rhode Island.
Yeah, that's an awesome line. That scene is right. Yeah, that's a funny scene. I like.
This is an interesting. This is more of a thought kind of experiment here. Mike from New Jersey. Jory Jordan is a unique young man with distinct style and his whole life ahead of him. So, what do you think middle-aged Jory is doing with his life? You didn't think you were going to do some creative writing here, did you?
No, but it's funny because I've thought about this, because in my eyes, since I don't know if anybody listening knows or you, I turned 20 this year, so I'm a lot older than Jory is. So I kind of always see him through this kind of adult lens, and there's some like backstory to Jory. Here's some like Jory lore, I guess.
Okay.
He's like mommy's little angel kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even though he's like 15. So I would say Jory's probably still living in his, mom's basement. Or I'd say he's probably still doing the kids sports report. I feel like he's the type
as
of
an
guy
adult.
Yeah. I feel like he'd probably still be doing it. He's definitely the type of guy to devote his life to something and stick with it.
Interesting.
Sure.
And a little creepy. All right.
A little bit.
Here's one, maybe a little more fun. Dennis from UK again. What would be your wrestling entrance music?
These are good questions. I don't know.
What kind of music are you into?
And would you be a baby face or a heel?
Oh, yeah.
That's I see. I've been asked baseball walkout song.
Right.
But that's
same thing, kind of. No?
But it's I feel like wrestling's got to be like
more attitude.
I don't. Yeah, maybe a little more aggressive.
Some adrenaline.
Yeah.
Hey, while you're marinating, since you're talking highly of your music teacher, did you pick up an instrument when you were young, and are you still with it?
I played piano for a long time. I did Royal Conservatory exams and everything.
Oh, that's extreme.
Yeah, so I did that since I was up until I was 15. From the time I was like 6, I started while I was back in BC, and I've taught myself guitar. I think once you can play the piano, other instruments come easy.
Well,
You
they're stringed instruments.
Yeah, once you read music and once you understand music, then you can kind of move on to anything. So I taught myself the guitar and the drums as well. But I
Nice.
unfortunately keep up less than I wish I would
Mhm.
with all three of them.
All right. So then Piano Man it is for your
Yeah,
walk.
I mean, recently, I don't have a piano in my place at Toronto. I just have my guitar, so that's kind
It's
of all
more
I can
portable. Yeah.
access.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but yes, I've.
I meant for your wrestling song, Piano Man.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
there you go. Maybe that's not super aggressive, but
No, but
It's not at all. It's more melancholic. I don't know.
love it.
The saddest wrestler. Chastity from Alabama asks, other than actor, what words would you describe yourself? So in other words, what are your hobbies? So you mentioned music, you like music, and you're also an athlete. Like what would be maybe your second love then?
Writing, probably.
Oh,
you were supposed to say your girlfriend.
Oh, he's listening. But yeah, I'd say writing probably. I do a lot of writing. When I was younger, I loved writing short stories and stuff, and I write a lot even academically. I do a lot of writing for school, but mostly screenwriting and playwriting. So I'd probably say writing, even though I didn't do it a ton growing up.
Right.
That would be my second love right now.
Is that what you're doing for school? Is doing writing?
School, I'm kind of doing everything. I'm doing a very, very confusing degree. I'm doing a double major in sociology and drama with a minor in philosophy and a business certificate on the side.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, it's confusing.
Lot
It's a
going
whole,
on.
yeah.
It's well rounded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah, it's well rounded. It's a little bit of everything that I'm interested in, and yeah.
Very cool. So a couple of final questions before we wrap up. First of all, our friend Awesome, she runs the Letterkenny Reddit. I don't know, have you been approached yet to do an AMA on Reddit?
No, but I see that those I do read because they're so overwhelmingly positive and everyone on there is so great.
All right.
I do read those ones. I tend to not read like Instagram and those ones. So
Okay.
I am familiar with all the threads on Reddit.
Well, I'm sure she would love to invite you to do an Ask Me anything on Reddit. If you're interested, I can put you in contact with her. And then the question that our friend who isn't here today usually asks, you're part of this, Shoresy, which is, an offshoot of this cult following show, Letterkenny and Shoresy. And you're part of it. So, how does that feel? What does it feel? What does it mean to you to be part of this show?
A lot. It's kind of the only thing that I've witnessed, let alone be a part of, that has it's so, like I just kind of said earlier, overwhelmingly positive. There is so much love for the characters and people notice the smallest of details, and that shows that people really watch it and love it. There's so many things and shows that are out in the world right now that kind of, they come and they go and it's just kind of reproduced and there's no heart and no soul to it. And I think a community that has that heart and soul, and also a creator and a group of people that are putting it together that have a heart and soul, it makes it, it's very special. It makes it feel extremely warm. Every time I'm on set, it's such a good experience because there are so many people that are excited for it and anticipating it, and you know that what you're doing is going to be loved by people, and that's a feeling that I'd never experienced before, and felt so much of on season 3 as opposed to season 2 because I was returning. And it's it's in the moment it's nerve-wracking and a little bit of pressure for sure, but I think that there's such a supportive family behind the whole franchise. So it's I'm very grateful. I guess that's what I'll leave it at.
Very cool.
be a part of something that has such a good following.
Do you have any final?
Nice. Thank you so much. I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure listening to your stories and speaking with you. Have you had the experience yet where somebody has recognized you, yelled out Jory, and expected that kind of character to come back at them chirping?
Good question.
This is a great story to end on.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
It happened like 2 weeks ago. I was driving. So I work, I do landscaping in the summer as like a summer job to get out in the sun and afford to live in Toronto and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I was in a work truck, in like a work uniform. And I was in the passenger seat of this truck, and the car that pulled up next to me had a Shoresy bumper sticker on it. Like I wish I took a photo of it, of what it said. And so as we approached it, I rolled down my window and I said, hey, nice bumper sticker. And he kind of gave one of these where it's like, dang, like
you did a double take,
like almost like a triple take, and kind of I drove off, and it was funny because I was thinking like, he must either think he's losing his because I was in a work truck in Winnipeg, it was funny. But and there's been other kind of, I was out at a pub with some friends, and there was a couple people that came up to me and asked for some photos and stuff. And obviously there's people here that I knew before I moved away that are, love it and think it's awesome.
Where would you say you get recognized the most, when you're in the city in Toronto or in Winnipeg there?
Oh, Winnipeg, way more. I think it's because Toronto's so like diverse and busy, and there's so much going on there that and there's also like it's in a place like Toronto, it's not like weird to see somebody walking down the street that you recognize. That doesn't really ever happen in a place like this. So, I feel like more here for sure. I mean, if I recall, I don't think I've ever been recognized in Toronto ever.
Oh wow.
So yeah, here.
Victor, do you have any final?
Well, I just wanted to say, before you jump in, Victor, would you be, if you're ever in Toronto, would you be interested in joining us for some big deck energy over at Matt's house?
Yes.
He loves his get-togethers in the summer. So if you're around, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, we're planning on one of these live on his deck, so we'll definitely.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Because
I feel like he's kicking himself for not being able to make it today. So I think you get it. We'll let him ask all the questions then.
Okay, give him the spotlight.
Nice.
Amazing,
awesome.
Victor.
Thanks.
Sure. Let's see. Let's give you a fun thought experiment question. Obviously, this is your path. You were meant to do this, and the best is yet to come for you, obviously. And you're getting to the writing. Who knows where it's going to take you? But let's rewind a little bit. And obviously, you were playing hockey because you loved it, and you probably had aspirations of playing in the NHL one day. So, had you gone on to play beyond AAA, and you, let's say, got called for a draft and got drafted by the Jets, and then Kiso calls you at the same time and says, "Hey, we want you." So, which way do you go, hockey or acting?
I would have to say acting. And not just because I'm doing it currently. I played hockey my whole life and I loved it every second. But I think the environment, not so much the industry, but the people, I think I would probably, I'd probably choose acting right now. But I would still love to play in the NHL. That'd be pretty awesome. But I love them both, and I'd be so grateful to be able to do either of them for a job. But yeah, probably acting.
Very cool.
Amazing.
Well, you know what? I mean, Shoresy is a show that's being referenced more and more by NHLers and on the networks and stuff like that. I feel like somehow there's going to be a crossover sometime in the future. So who knows? Maybe you'll get your foot in the door some one way or another.
Maybe.
If you want people to follow you and stuff after this interview, what's the best place to follow Maclean Fish?
Probably Instagram. It's just my name, Maclean Fish. no special characters.
Okay. And do you have
yeah,
any,
probably.
do you have any future projects that you're excited about that you want to shout out?
Yes,
Okay.
but I can't talk about them.
Well, we'll have to have you back on then, and you can mention them, when you're on Matt's big deck. How's that?
Amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Maclean, for your time. You've given us, we've taken more, 4 minutes longer than we promised, but we appreciate your time and can't wait to see what happens in season 3 and beyond.
Yeah, I am too. Very excited. Very excited.
Amazing. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to play us off here with a track that was dropped June 1st by our buddy Joe Dolo. He just dropped his, I guess, is that called an EP? Going Gold. And here's the title track from it here.
017. Old screen.
Never go broke, we going gold. I'm protecting the brand if I reach for the pole. We buying the bands like never before. Don't like the gram, but get paid for a post. I'm from the north, you get poked for 20. Icy roads, we sliding on skates. Playing like slept with nothing in my belly. Praying tomorrow will be okay. Never go broke.
And that's all we have for this episode. If you'd like to support the podcast, tell a friend. Also, follow us on most social media outlets at ProduceSamPod. Thank you for joining us. Now we're going to hang out with our new friend, Maclean. On behalf of Maclean, Tanya, Victor, and myself, thank you for listening and have a great week.
But they don't want to elevate. We going gold, I could never decelerate. Foot on the gas like a total degenerate. Locking this through my nigga, that's my element. You want me hanging with you to stay relevant. They looking lost, I don't see no development.